Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Amplify Your Business. Today, I'm going to be talking to Jesse Long. He is the founder of the Hot Sauce Co. So he is a man of my own heart because I love hot sauces. I've never taken my passion for hot sauces to this level, though, Jesse. So welcome to the show. Tell me a little bit about your business, okay?
Thanks for having me, man. So I started a hot sauce club quite a few years ago at my local college. Kind of turned passion project into my business. In 2020, we launched officially online and started doing events, which was kind of brought to a close quite quickly with the pandemic coming into play. But what we do basically is we produce an all-natural, fresh ingredient product that's nutritionally flavorful and more or less inspires kind of a bold and healthy lifestyle.
And so what got you into hot sauces, though? Is this something as a childhood you were exposed to a lot of hot, spicy foods, Mexican foods and stuff? Or really, where did that passion develop, I guess?
I'd have to say the passion for spicy things started very young. I was sipping Tabasco out of a bottle at a very young age. I liked that kind of spicy tanginess of it. I lived with one of my best friend's families for about a year, and his father was from Kingston, Jamaica. So we'd always be eating kind of wild, different foods that I was not typical on my own dinner plate at my family home. And there was always spice, and it kind of just inspired me that I wanted to kind of bring that kind of same intensity and flavor and boldness to other people with my sauce.
So when you said that you started the club, was that for like other hot spices and sauces that were already on the market, or did you start the club with your own, I guess, recipes that you were developing yourself?
That's the club was really interesting, actually. It was one of the largest clubs that Fanshawe had ever had. We had, I think, around 120 members, all students. A lot of them didn't attend our events, but basically we would get as many of us together as we could. We had a student budget that we could purchase chicken wings and beer and like whatnot. And we would all get together. Everybody would bring in a sauce that they liked, and we would just try the sauces and talk about them. And I started bringing this habanero and mango hot sauce that I was making originally just in little mason jars. And it was kind of like my pilot for what we are today. Everybody loved it and couldn't get enough of it. And I was basically told by all my buddies, like, you got something here, man.
Oh, that's really cool. And so then the next step then was to develop more recipes, or did you start production on that one single recipe?
I did try to push forward with that one recipe. Picked a couple different names for the company, and some mistakes were made along the way. Pulling the trigger on a domain that was for a name that didn't end up working out for me, buying business cards for this company that didn't exist, spent a bunch of money and just didn't have all my ducks in a row quite yet. But basically, we tried to launch it a couple different times with that habanero and mango sauce, and it really didn't take off for another 5 years.
Yeah. So in that time, then, were you developing more and more recipes, or did that really come on a lot stronger once you decided to really push hard in early 2000?
In early 2000. Early 2020, yeah. That's when we decided to officially launch. It was actually late 2019. We had decided to officially launch early the following year, and that was kind of when I got my stuff together and developed our peppers and pickles and our habanero and herbs recipes. But a funny story. When we thought of launching in late 2019. I had been working for a friend's company and needed kind of like a boost to get me going. So I took every penny out of my savings account and I bought a pallet of bottles, which was about 4,300 bottles. It cost me about $3,500. And I didn't have these recipes for the other sauces written down. I didn't have, all that much of a game plan going, but I just I needed to do something to push myself into like this passion that I have. The recipes came after, and, you know, as they say, the rest is history.
Really cool. And so really, I mean, I imagine staring at all these bottles, empty bottles, must have really motivated you to start really getting to work on it so you could recoup some of that investment that you had, eh?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, I was like, well, I guess I got to fill them now. There's really nothing else to do, right? So the habanero mango was already locked in, you know, down to the grams of every ingredient. I had it scalable and all that kind of stuff at that point. And, you know, met a couple inspirational people along the way that gave me ideas for, that gave me the inspiration for peppers and pickles, as well as the habanero and herbs. And I wanted to keep it small. A lot of sauce companies out there that I've seen have 10, 15 different kinds of sauce. And I wanted to kind of stick to the trio and make sure that those are rock solid and, you know, do a few things really well as opposed to a lot of things kind of average.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really good, especially in the early days, right? You really want to ace the product first so that you gain that following, that tribe that really just loves everything that you're producing. And then they will start to expand their palette as you continue to expand your inventory. So yeah, it's a good idea. So in those early days, then you said you needed to have a booth and that kind of thing. So I presume you were doing what a lot of people do, which might have been farmers markets then. Is that where you kind of got the start, or tell me how you were marketing it at the beginning?
So right in the beginning, like February 2020, second day of February, we launched officially. And we had our first event booked, which was the Heat Wave Hot Sauce Expo here in London. It's a huge event with about 50 different hot sauce companies. And we were super stoked about it. Along with that, I had just about every farmer's market, other makers markets and such booked up until October. And after the first event, which was right at the end of February, March break happened, and then every single event, just one after another, got canceled.
Yeah.
So we had to switch gears pretty much immediately, and started heavily pushing online. I was into Instagram like nobody's business, on every page I could find for stores, in people's DMs, commenting on hashtag hot sauce. Like, you know, I kind of looked up to Gary V quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And took a lot of his advice on just, you know, don't stop, keep pushing, you know, post as many times as you can, comment to all these people, slide in DMs, really engage with other people in your community. And that's kind of what we did until our first farmers market opened up, which was, I think they started opening up in around June, rebooking and stuff like that. And yeah, we started going to farmers markets. My business plan was really to put a face to the brand in my local community. I wanted people to know that, you know, there's a new hot sauce in town. I am the owner. This is what we're all about. This is, you know, why we're doing it. All those kind of important details to get people really to follow and trust why I'm doing this, not just another Frank's or, you know, another hot sauce or whatever.
Yeah. So obviously you found some success doing that then, and that as that expanded then, or as the distribution and sales started to grow, did you change then your strategy in terms of outreach, or did you just do more and more and more farmers markets?
So we did quite a few farmers markets, but I started kind of dialing them back once distribution and those types of sales started picking up. I didn't have the time. I was in the kitchen kind of nonstop. Our production wasn't as efficient as it is now.
Yeah.
You know, I went through a couple entrepreneurship accelerators, which, you know, gave me numerous amounts of information. They gave me courses and funding and a bunch of stuff that I reinvested back into newer, better, faster equipment, more efficient processes. And that kind of helped even things out so that in 2021, we were able to kind of start doing quite a few more markets, bigger events like expos and bigger like festivals and stuff like that. Not so much farmers markets. that's kind of the direction we've been heading in now, is we stick to bigger events, expos, festivals, where you're going to see, thousands to 10,000 people kind of attending.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. And so in terms of distribution, you mentioned as soon as distributors came on, so you use a distributor then to access some of the retail stores. Is that what the route you've gone there to get into retail?
Yeah, I started just cold calling, banging on doors, calling and meeting up with business owners and stuff like that, and giving them the pitch, just me and them. And I got picked up by my first distribution company at the end of 2020, actually in December. And his company specialized in, it was just a couple dudes, and they kind of specialized in the GTA area. Okay. And, they knew business owners, and they knew the right people in that network in the GTA area for a product like mine. Our products, we market it as a premium hot sauce. We make it as a premium hot sauce with fresh ingredients and no preservatives, no junk, anything like that. And we price it accordingly. And it wasn't built for every grocery store out there. And this distribution company had all the ins at the more fine establishments in Toronto, GTA area kind of thing.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. And probably maybe 4 months after that, we reached out to another distribution company who had all the ins in the small, tiny towns all around Ontario, where this distribution company or some of the other distribution companies just don't send people. But there are still, small areas in the Muskokas above Toronto and stuff like that. And so we kind of were able to cover both bases.
Yeah, really smart. And so, and this online sales, that's been something right from the very beginning as well, or is that something that's more of a recent add-on in terms of a channel?
We've had online sales ever since, ever since March break of 2020. We pivoted online. We've been trying to get online sales, but the retail and the wholesale distribution retail kind of side of things really took over. And ramped up quite quickly. So I just didn't have the time to put into, proper marketing for the website. People really haven't started purchasing all that much from the website until this past maybe 6 months.
Okay.
We'd get the odd orders, of course, with every order, every market we did, we'd hand out our cards which has the website on it and all that stuff. But yeah, it really didn't start picking up until about 6 months ago. And now that we kind of have things a bit more tight as far as our processes go, moving to a new website shortly. We plan on moving more into doing like retargeting ads for Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, sounds really good. And so as a percentage, then it doesn't sound like it's very high right now, but it's going to be an important channel that you're trying to grow then into the future.
Yes. In the future, I 100% am focusing more on our online side of things and trying to increase sales there.
Yeah. And in terms of looking back over the last couple of years, is there anything that now that you've, ventured through whatever that was, looking back on it, would you have told your younger self, your 2-year younger self, anything different? What kind of advice would you give that younger self to avoid some of the pains or some of the challenges?
I would have to say just, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to hire somebody who knows better than you. If you have enough funding, don't be afraid to hire somebody, even if it costs a little bit of money, who is an expert in an area, because trying to save yourself money and doing everything yourself in the long run, just, your time is very valuable. And whatever, goal you're trying to accomplish, if you're trying to learn the ins and outs of it online, you're going to spend more time and more effort when you could be focusing on what you're good at. And in turn, just, end up wasting time and money. So I definitely would say there's quite a few times where I kind of held off on hiring help. mainly for more like marketing sides of things, even web development. Like I have a bit of an IT background, so I tried to, any fixes and stuff like that, I would try and do on my website. But then, instead of spending 3 hours returning calls to other vendors that I want to touch base with and see how our products are selling, I'm spending 3 hours trying to debug my website. And, that's not bringing in the revenue that that continued relationship with my customers would be.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And there's a lot of our other guests have said something similar to that effect too. And it is really true. It's hard sometimes to really be, I think, as disciplined as one needs to be in really valuing your time and identifying the things that are the highest returning or value adding to your business activities. Because anything that you say yes to is a distraction, or it's essentially saying no to everything else. And so when you say, yes, I'm going to debug my website, like you mentioned in the example, you are saying no to the customer development and everything else that you need to be doing on the other side of the business, which is going to be much more return oriented than what debugging the website maybe would be. Yeah. And as business owners, I mean, that's we get into that trap, and then we don't see the growth that we would want to see as quickly as we could if we had our priorities aligned a little bit better. And I tell you, I'm I've done that so many times myself as well, so I get the pain there for sure. Any other thoughts in terms of some of the other things that you were able to do, whether it was when you were pivoting or some of the decisions you've made where when you're looking back on now, you go, you know what, that was a really good decision that I made there. That was actually something that has really helped me, because oftentimes those wins there's a lot of lessons in there for people too.
Like my I'm quite a social person, and just like networking with various businesses and networking with various experts at businesses, whether, it's the director of marketing at a company, and, becoming friendly with them and then being able to kind of lean on them for some assistance here or there. There's a couple times where I was concerned about pulling the trigger on a big purchase. And, trusted my gut and went with it. And even though it, drained a lot of our cash flow, in the long run down the road, it's been enormously helpful in reducing our total cost of our product, on the back end kind of thing. Always reinvesting money into our efficiencies. We hired a company from London here called the Center for Research and Innovation. And we were at a point where I couldn't afford to buy, a brand new bottling line. They're, $50,000 plus. So I hired this company to go through my procedures from the time I pick up a pepper from my produce supplier to the finished bottle with the date stamped on it, ready for sale. And they analyzed every moment of that procedure and told me kind of where I could cut costs or where I could be, introduce a less expensive piece of equipment to make things more efficient. And, that service was a few $1,000s, but at that point in time, it was the only kind of option we had. And, spending that money was tough, but it has gotten us, that was almost a year ago now. And it's allowed us to kind of continue to use the equipment we're using in the most efficient way possible and kind of have that analysis of where we can cut costs or, where we can save money.
So now something that everybody talks about is, as an entrepreneur business owner, you have to be willing to take risks. And that comes naturally to some people, and other people that can be quite a challenge. It sounds like you're quite a risk-taking kind of guy. And so where does that come from? Is that, did your family have small businesses or anything like that? Like, what is the background that gives you that empowers you to be such a risk taker?
My family doesn't have any small businesses. I'm pretty sure I'm the first college graduate in my family. Um, but not to everybody's upbringing is different, right? Mine was a little bit tougher than some, and it kind of gave me and instilled this strength in me to persevere, and be, tenacious when I need to be. I'm very hungry for the success of this business, because once that happens, I know I'll be able to kind of give back to my family and how they maybe couldn't give to me in the beginning. And I just feel like that's the right thing to do, the honorable thing to do. And everybody looks at life through the lens which is created from how your life has been, and I just look at life and my business in my own way because of the things and experiences that I've had. And yeah, I not to get into too much detail, but yeah, tough upbringing made me tough, and it's made me who I am today. And yeah, that's basically why I take risks, why I'm willing to, work 12 hours on my feet in the kitchen, making sauce until 4 a.m. to make an order for the next day. Yeah. I'm hungry for it, and I'm determined to make it happen, and nothing's going to stop us.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really love that. It's that determination, right? It's which is such a core ingredient in every entrepreneur. The ones who
you
survive.
have to be.
Yeah, completely tenacious.
Yeah, if entrepreneurship is not, they tell you all the time, like, it's no joke. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna go run my own business, la da da. It's a lot of nights away from your family, a lot of nights by yourself, when your friends are going out to a movie, or they want to go out for the weekend and go out of town, whatever. Like, you're working, you're grinding all the time, man. And you really got to pick something that you're passionate about, something that you love and you enjoy doing, or it would suck doing this like 14 hours a day. If I wasn't really passionate about it, I would have given up a long time ago. Yeah,
it's totally true. Well, and obviously you have found a passion, because this was something that you were doing for free, right? Before it was even a thought in terms of a business idea. It was just a club. Yeah. So that's really neat story. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jesse. I really appreciate you sharing it and sharing some of the lessons you've had along the way. I think it will definitely help out some of our viewers. And so for our viewers, if you're interested in checking out any of our other episodes, head over to amplifyyourbusiness.ca. That's where you're going to find the archive. And if you happen to be an entrepreneur like Jesse, who has a great story to share, fill out the form there, and we can get you onto a future episode of Amplify Your Business. So thank you again, Jesse. I really appreciate it. And, I wish you all the success that you deserve and that you're going to have, I think, going forward here.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. And yeah, I just hope some of the advice I gave helps someone else.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that's a wrap, everybody. And I wish you all a profitable week. We'll talk to you later.